Welcome to Inside the 18, presented by Northside Automotive. This is your weekly look inside the men's and women's soccer programs here at West Virginia University. I'm Adam Zundell. In this week's edition, we'll have all the scores and highlights from the last weekend of non-conference play. We'll talk with men's strength and conditioning coach Tanner Kolb about what his charges do in the weight room to prepare for games. And finally, we'll preview the upcoming matches as both programs head into conference play. First, let's look back at the weekend's action for both teams. The WVU women started off the weekend with a Friday evening matchup against the Richmond Spiders. After a scoreless first half, West Virginia broke through in the 63rd minute when sophomore Kelsey Maloney headed in a perfect cross from Francis Silva to make it 1-0. It was Maloney's third goal of the season. 14 minutes later, Ashley Lawrence closed the game out with this long-range bomb to make the final score 2-0. That was Lawrence's second goal of the season. The shutout was Sarah Keene's fourth on the year and 21st of her career. Saturday evening, the men took to the Dick DeLette Soccer Stadium pitch to face Michigan. The Wolverines struck first in minute 3 off a deflection to make it 1-0. Craig Stevens nearly tied the match in the 16th minute but was denied by the Michigan keeper. The game remained 1-0 until the dying seconds of regulation when WVU's Majid Osman was in the right place at the right time and slotted home the tying goal with just 17 seconds remaining. Unfortunately, Osman's goal just delayed the final outcome as Michigan scored the golden goal 5 minutes into the first overtime to send West Virginia to a 2-1 defeat. The WVU men are now 3-3-1 on the season. Then on Sunday afternoon, the women capped the weekend's home action with an afternoon match with Wright State. West Virginia took the 1-0 lead 28 minutes into the game as Kate Schwindel notched her 6th goal of the season, beating the keeper in the lower left corner of the goal. The advantage didn't last long as Wright State tied the match just 90 seconds later. And then 90 seconds after that, WVU regained the lead for good. Carly Black scored her first goal of the season, assisted by Carrie Price and Francis Silva. 10 minutes later, it was 3-1. This time it was Amanda Hill who put the ball in the net, assisted by Silva and Tessa Broadwater. And Francis tallied the final goal of the match in the 68th minute to make the final 4-1. Silva's 3 assists and her goal gave her 5 points in the game as West Virginia is now 6-2-2 going into conference play. Soccer, like any other sport, requires strength and stamina to perform at the highest levels. That's Tanner Kolb's area of expertise. He's the strength and conditioning coach for the WVU men's team, and recently we talked with him about what the team does when it goes into the weight room.
The biggest thing is it's not really kind of weightlifting like, you kind of get that mental picture of somebody loading up a bar and squatting a lot or benching a lot. Because we're trying to make guys better at what they need to do on the field. We look at what is soccer. Soccer is a series of bursts of speed, but yet you still need that conditioning base. So we're looking at working multiple energy systems when we're doing our conditioning and stuff. In the weight room, we're gonna look at doing things where they're gonna be on one leg, okay? So we do a lot of unilateral movement. You saw that today with our lunges stuff. We're gonna go lateral as much as we can because soccer is a game that's played in 360 degrees like most sports. And I need guys that can move in all planes of motion. So we're gonna do that. We're going to do a lot of things where they have their feet on the ground and they have to hold weight. So we are going to do things like squats. I don't do a lot of bench pressing with these guys. We'll do standing shoulder presses and things like that where they have to stabilize their entire bodies because that's what they do on the field. So, we still do kind of the stereotypical squat bench. We do a lot of Olympic lifting also out of season. But in season, it's a lot of unilateral movement, a lot of dumbbell stuff, a ton of kettlebell stuff. But again, you have to look at the amount of stress that these guys are placing on their bodies. I'm not trying to load them up under a bar and ask them to do heavy weight. It just can't be done like that with the amount of time they have to recover playing 3 games in a week, sometimes 4 games in a week. Maybe in a perfect world where they played once a week and had all kinds of recovery time, it might be a little bit different, but that's not really the situation that we have.
Now let's take a look ahead at this week's action. The men are home against Penn State Wednesday evening at 7 and continue the homestand with a huge Mid-American Conference game against defending champions Akron. That game kicks off at Dick DeLette Soccer Stadium Sunday evening at 7. The women are on the road for their first Big 12 games of the season. They are in Stillwater Friday evening to take on Oklahoma State and then travel to Baylor for a Sunday afternoon matchup. That's it for now. Join us again next week for Inside the 18, presented by Northside Automotive.